Hey guys, welcome back to Home Built, and today we are going to start stripping down the Alfa. So as you saw the other day, I tried to start the engine and it turns over fine, it moves nice and freely, but I can't get it started with the, it's got some, it's not getting spark somehow, and it could be something really simple like the coil or the spark plug leads, which all look horrible and old. But I've played enough of that game. I'm not going to use that engine in the car, so it's time to strip it all down. I've got to get absolutely every single part off of this car because I'm going to send it away to get sandblasted. I'm not going to try and strip it all myself like I did with the Datsun and the 911. It's just too many headaches, and sandblasting can do a better job, particularly with somebody who knows what they're doing, and hopefully will not warp all the panels. So let's start stripping. A great tip I have used in the past, but those who haven't seen it, I should pass it on again. Instead of when you're pulling something apart and you just chuck everything in snap lock bags and you write your label on it, chuck it in a bucket or a box or whatever, and then when you eventually start putting the thing back together again, you're ferreting through the bags, you end up just making a mess and you lose bits and the labels rub off. It's a nightmare. The best tip I've ever seen, and since I've started using it, I will never turn back, is get some of these cheap part boxes. Any auto parts store or hardware store or whatever will carry them. They're really cheap. Lots of little dividers inside. And what you do is, as you pull something off, you put it in the first thing and then right on the top of the box where it goes. And then as you go through and pull, whether you're pulling an engine part, whether you're pulling the car apart, you go through and put the things in order and write what the labels are. And when you go to put everything back together again, you get the same boxes out and then go in reverse order and put everything back in together. It is a fantastic system. I didn't come up with it, but I love it. So great tip. All right, so I have removed the radiator and most of the sort of external wiring, etc., around the engine to try and make it so it's nice and free and easy that it can be lifted out. This sort of lower part of the air filter box is a real pig to get to. There's sort of these bolts underneath. You can't really get to it very easily to take it off while the engine's in the car. But getting the engine out of the car is a matter of sort of reaching down underneath and trying to get to bits and pieces. It's really not there's not a lot of space on that side of the engine. In any case, it is time to lift this thing up and see if we can disconnect the gearbox and get it all ready so we can remove this engine from the car. That was very surprising. I got that exhaust off and none of the bolts were actually rusted on. I managed to undo them all just with spanners. That's impressive. All right, moving on. Let's see if I can disconnect the drive shaft. All right, after some wrestling, the tail shaft's disconnected, so now I'm going to get out my gearbox stand and hopefully I want to unbolt the gearbox. I don't want the whole thing to fall down, so I'll put the gearbox stand on it, but basically I want to be able to disconnect the gearbox, lower it out of the way, and then hopefully it'll stay on the engine mounts. So I started lowering the gearbox down from underneath, and it was then that I realised, take the gear stick out first. All right, I think I have disconnected the engine mounts. It's a real pain to get down there into these things. This really is not an easy car to work on. I'm glad this engine's not staying in it for now. Now it's time to actually try and lift it out. It is very handy having the hoist because the legs of the engine crane don't quite fit under the car, but that's easy enough to just lift the hoist up a little bit and then try and sort of jostle this thing out. So this is being a real pig. Basically, I tried to jack it up, and the sump on this is a really big cast item, so I'm trying to get it up high enough to get it out the front, but then the back, the gearbox is hanging down and running into one of basically the steering tie arm that ties the two sides of the steering together. It's not actually, it's got a steering box that's on one side, but basically, that's all stopping me from moving this thing out. So I'm going to jack it up now, back up on the lift, see if I can remove that arm, and then see if we can actually get this thing out without the thing falling on my head. So the engine's now not sitting on one of its mounts, but this arm is actually the one that's getting in the way. So you can see here it sort of ties on here, follows through and ties on over here, and it just ties the steering, both steering sides together, and as I lift it up, this front edge of the gearbox is grabbing hold of it and not letting it past. So it's time to unbolt it and see if I can get it out of the way. All right, this is really annoying me. So new plan. My new plan is disconnect the gearbox, drop that separately, and then hopefully the engine will come out easier. That's the plan anyway, but who knows if that's going to work. Let's give it a go. Oh, that was a pain in the backside trying to get around and get to all of the bolts on the around the gearbox, the bell housing holding it together. They really don't want you to get this out while it's in the car. This thing is really, yeah, interesting to work on is a good way to put it. But I think I have it disconnected. So now it's the matter of trying to wriggle it and wrestle it and see if we can get this gearbox out. There's still a bolt in it. Damn it. Oh. That's better. So close. That's it. That's it. Oh. There we go. That's it. Ah, there we go. Ah, that was epic. Shouldn't be that difficult. Or maybe it's just me. All right, let's give that another go. Spike's going to give me a hand and we're going to see if we can get it out this time. Hopefully now, with no gearbox on it, it should just lift straight out. That's the theory. Let's see if it works in practice. Ah, that was way more work than I was expecting it to be. I thought this was going to be a quick, easy, just get the engine out. It's going to take me half the day, and yeah, and we can just keep stripping it all down. That's taken a lot longer than I thought it would. Oh, it probably would be much quicker if you knew what you were doing with these things. I'm sure there's thousands of you out there who actually know what you're doing with these and would have got it out much quicker than me, but I've got no idea, so it's out. That's the main thing. All right, well, that was a full day, but it's definitely looking up. I've got some more time to strip everything off of this shell because absolutely every part has to come off. Every suspension component, every brake line, every single piece of this car needs to be stripped off so I can get it away for sandblasting. So there'll be more of that to come, but that is it for today. So that means it's time for Fun Facts with Mrs. Jeff.
Hi guys, in 1906, Alexandre Durac, a French automobile manufacturer, started the company Società Anonima Italiana Durac with some Italian car investors. The factory was built in Milan and the Italian Durac cars were selling slowly. So the Italian investors, led by Ugo Stella, started a new company on the 24th of June 1910. The new company was known as the Anonima Lombarda Fabbrica Automobili, or otherwise Alfa. Actually translates to the Anonymous Lombard Automobile Factory. The first non-Durac car was the 1910 24 horsepower, which was designed by Giuseppe Morosi, who was actually brought in specifically to design cars for the Italian market. In 1911, Alfa ventured into motorcar racing, entering two 24 horsepowers into the Targa Florio. In 1914, a highly advanced Grand Prix car was designed and built. 4-cylinder engine, double overhead cams, 4 valves per cylinder, and twin ignition. In 1914, unfortunately, the onset of World War I halted automobile production for the next 3 years.
Oh, it is really cold out here, so we'll get over this quickly. That took a lot longer than I expected to get that engine out today, but we're making progress, and it's so fun to actually be working on a new car. Anyway, as always, like, subscribe, join us on Patreon. That really helps us out, and you get to watch these videos at 24 hours before everybody else.
And we might be able to afford to buy a heater, because it's really cold.
I really need a heater in this garage. All right, guys. Follow us on Facebook and Instagram for updates, midweek updates, and we'll see you on the next one.
Hi, guys.
See you guys.